In this next tutorial, we're going to take a look at how to create a query. Go ahead and open up the Microsoft Access case file, and you should see listed along the left-hand side the 6 tables of data contained in the case. A query is a mechanism by which we can extract data from a large complex data set. Specifically, what we're going to do is we are going to use the Query Design Wizard to create a query to extract the data we're interested in seeing. To create a query, go ahead and go up to the Create menu. Under the Create menu, you're going to see a query submenu. There's a Query Wizard, and then there's the Query Design button. Go ahead and click on the Query Design button. This is going to give us a prompt, a dialog box, asking us to select the tables from which we want to pull data. In your case, for your Access case online, the very first query you're required to build, and you are required to build a total of 6 in all, but the very first query you're required to build is to display a list of all employees in the company, along with their department and their region, the region they work for. So to start off, I need to select or identify the tables of interest. So I'm going to go ahead and I know I want data from the employee table, and I'm going to go ahead and click it and then click Add. After adding the employee table, I'm going to go ahead and close down the dialog box, and it takes me to the Query Design Builder. In my Query Design Builder, I see a list of the table and all the fields in the table in the top half of the screen. So up here is my single table I'm working with and all the fields in the table. And then in the bottom half of the screen, I have the actual fields which we're going to build in the query itself. To choose a field to display, all you need to do is select the field and double click on it. So looking at the case book itself, we can see that the requirements for the case, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to it. For query 1, we're being asked to design a query to list all employees in the organization, and the query should display the following: employee ID, employee first name, employee last name, employee address, salary, department name, and region name. And so your task is to select all the fields that we need and display all those fields in the result set of our query. So let's go back to our query design, and in our query design we need the employee ID, which happens to also be the primary key. We can tell it's the primary key because there's a gold key right next to it. So I double click on it. It adds the field down below, which means that it's going to show up in the result set for my query. I also needed employee first name, employee last name. I need address. I think I'm also asked for salary. And then I'm asked for department name and region name. Let's just go back one time and verify the requirements. So ID, first name, last name, address, salary, department name, and region name. So that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and run our query. If I want to run the query, I have to go ahead and click the exclamation point in the top left corner. I go ahead and click on it. It's going to execute the query and give me the result set. So what just happened here is the query was executed against the database. It searched for and found the following records, and the results of the search are displayed. We see employee ID, first name, last name. We see some addresses listed, salaries, And then you'll notice there's something not quite right here. We have the department number and the region number listed, and instead we would like to display the department name and the region name. So we need to edit and we need to make a change to our query. So let's go back to design mode to make an edit, and we need to somehow display department name and region name of our employee. Well, scanning our employee table, and if you remember when we were navigating and viewing employee data, let's go ahead and double click on the employee table, and this is all the data in our employee table. And you see that there's no field for department name and region name. We only have the department number and region number listed. The reason this occurs is because we are working with a relational database. Relational databases categorize common themes of information into separate tables. It's more efficient to store data in separate tables in terms of the storage space and the search and retrieval efficiency. So in a relational database, we're creating and storing data in multiple tables, with each table handling one theme of the overall data. So here we see we have a table for employees, we also have a table for departments, and a table for regions. So the information we need is probably located in the department table and the region table. So taking a closer look at department table, we see it does have, in fact, what we're looking for. It has the department number as well as the department name. So specifically, we want to pull back just the department name. If I pull up the region table, we see it has the region ID and the region name. And so I've found the data I need to add to my query. The next step is to go ahead and add that data to my query. So I'm going to go ahead and close down all of my open tables, and I need to modify the design of my query. So if I click on the design menu, you'll see at the top here I have some additional buttons to select. I want to go back to my query setup where it says show table, and this time not only do I want to make sure the employee table is listed, but I also want to select the department and region tables. I can just double click and it will automatically add them to my query builder at the top. I'm going to put the employee table in the middle, so I'm just clicking and dragging, moving them around a little bit, and let's go ahead and make a couple of changes. So now you'll see I don't want department and region from the employee table. Instead, I want department name and region name. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the field that's listed down here. To delete it, I click on the column header, press my delete key, or right click, I can hit cut. So column header, and then I can press my delete key or go ahead and cut it out of there. And so I believe we want department name and region name. And I'm going to go ahead and make a mistake this first time around. This is a very common mistake. It's easy to do, but I want to show you what happens. So now you'll see the fields we've selected to display are as follows, and we can see the table that they're pulling from. We also have some different parameters we can set, so we can set a sort order for each field, and then finally down at the bottom we can specify filter criteria to filter the result set to just show a subset of our overall results. So I'm going to go ahead and run the query. We hit the exclamation point, and now you'll see something that looks a little bit funny. So we see the query itself returned 408 records, which is much more. We don't have 408 employees. And a closer inspection shows that we have employee records duplicated. So we see Sean Marion is listed, looks like a little more than 20 times. And when we take a closer look, we see what it returned was every possible combination of department name and region name. So we see Executive Office North, Executive Office South, Executive Office East, Executive Office West, Accounting North, Accounting South, Accounting East, Accounting West, all for Sean Marion. And the reason it returned this particular result set is we failed to join the tables. We failed to define the relationship between the tables we have in our query. For all queries, we should explicitly define how the tables are related to each other by defining the field that they have in common. So we need to find a field in common between the employee table and the department table, and we're going to use this field to join or relate the two tables to each other. So I see in department I have a field called department ID, and it turns out in employee I also have a field that stores the department ID. It's just called department. I'm going to click, hold, and drag, and it's going to create this join relationship for me. I can double click on the join record to define additional properties. I'm going to go ahead and accept the defaults. And then I also need to join my employee table with my region table. I can click, hold my click down, drag to the region table, and I have just joined and related my tables to each other. Now what's going to happen when I execute my query, instead of returning duplicate records, it's going to find a match between my department and department ID and my region and region ID for each employee record. So Sean Marion exists one time as an employee in the employee table, and in the employee table he's going to have a department number, a single department number, and a single region number. The way our join works is it takes the department number and it looks for Sean Marion's department number over in the department table. It finds a match. So it finds a match. That's what this join does right here between the employee department and the department ID in the department table. And based on that match, it's going to return the department name, which is exactly what we want it to do. So now when I run or execute my query, looks like I don't have, well, I get an empty set or a null set, so obviously something is wrong. And right away I can see what's wrong. If I go back to my query builder, I see I did an incorrect join, and this is a very common mistake. When you join tables to each other, you need to make sure you are joining based on fields that share common data values. So here I join from the region field in the employee table to the region field in the region table. The region field in the employee table stores region number, 1, 2, 3, or 4. The region field in the region table stores the region name. So I actually joined these tables incorrectly. So I'm going to go ahead and delete my join. So to delete a join, I can select the join itself. I can right-click on the join, and I should be able to press my delete key. There we go. I wasn't doing my right-click correctly. So I deleted the region name join. I'm going to rejoin it. So I go region in the employee table to region ID in the region table. Now the two fields that are joined on the a field that contains a data value. Hit run, and now I get the results that I'm looking for. So I see each employee. I see the department they're located in, and then I see the region of the country they're located in, and I see the name of the department and the name of the region instead of the numbers. So this particular query pulled a subset of data from our database. Specifically, it pulled data from the employee table, the department table, and the region table to create a specific view of the data we're interested in working with. Once you've verified that the query itself is in fact accurate, go ahead and save it by clicking the Save button in the top left. Go ahead and hit Save. I'm just going to go ahead and save it as Query 1. It has saved the query for me. I can now toggle back to design mode and make any additional changes that I want to, although overall this particular query looks okay. So a couple of things. One, if we wanted to add filter criteria. So say we want to change or modify this query to only show employees that make more than $50,000 a year. I mentioned previously there's this criteria box where you can add different formula. And here I can just add a conditional criteria using the greater than symbol. So this is going to take each and every record of my query result set and do a comparison. And it's going to say if the employee makes more than $50,000, go ahead and return the result. Return the employee in the result set. If the employee does not make more than $50,000, do not return the employee in the result set. So this is a very convenient way to add a filter. Now when I run the query, you see I see only 11 employees make more than $50,000, and I can see the list here. I'll go ahead and toggle back to design mode. Let's say we want to find an employee with the last name of Marion. So here I can just type equals to Marion, go ahead and run it, and it's going to find me the employee with the last name of Marion. In a large company, you might have multiple employees with certain last names, and this is how you would filter the result set to find exactly what you need. These criteria, you can almost think of these as mini Excel formulas. You can put in just about anything that evaluates to a Boolean true or false condition. And the way to do it, the mechanism to do it is very similar to how Excel functions. So if you think about how Excel formulas are built and work, this will go a long way to helping you work with the where criteria in our query. We can also specify a sort order. Maybe I'd like to specify in descending order all the employees' salaries. So I'm going to remove my criteria, go ahead and execute my query, and now you see Dante Jones makes $100,000, Darren Collison makes $95,000, and so on, all the way down to the bottom of our list. So now we have a sorted list. All of this is made possible through the construction and design of our query. What's going on behind the scenes is Microsoft Access is actually building a program, and it's building a program using a programming language called SQL, or Structured Query Language. And we can view what that program looks like by clicking on our View drop-down and selecting the SQL view. SQL is the universal standard that all relational databases understand. So whether it's Access or Oracle or DB2 or Microsoft SQL Server, they will all understand basic SQL. standard SQL. And we see what it looks like here. So this is the universal standard for programs. Universal standard program for databases. You do not need to know how to program or create SQL statements. Just be aware that this is what goes on behind the scenes. So when I use my design view and I make changes, what's actually going on behind the scenes is it's updating my SQL program. So I go back to design mode. I'm going to go ahead and hit run. This is our original query. Let's go back and confirm. Everything looks good. And we save the query one final time. And this concludes the exercise on how to construct our first query in Microsoft Access.